Chery has grown tremendously over the past few years. And now in 2023, the Chinese automaker thinks they can now move a bit more upmarket with these two new Chery Tiggo 8 Pro variants. Either get the powerful and smooth 2-liter all-wheel drive, or the forward-thinking plug-in hybrid. Now, should you pick this over a Mazda CX-8, high-end variants of the Toyota Fortuner, just to name a few?
So this is the new Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, and what we have here in this white color is the plug-in hybrid variant. So I've also driven the 2-liter all-wheel drive version, and yun nga, they have a similar grille. So overall, the car naman looks stylish, reasonably stylish, but I wouldn't call it, let's say, parang a standout in the segment because a lot of crossover SUVs look really good in this price point, no? So yeah, at the front you have this grille, an octagonal grille that's surrounded by this sort of brushed aluminum effect. That's also the same case with the 2-liter all-wheel drive version. So these are flanked by LED headlights, which are actually swiveling. So lumiliko siya whenever you turn the wheel. Down the sides of the grille, meron itong parang faux air intake. So they're not really actually channeling air into these parts. They're just really for design. Flourishes lang. Down there you have your radar for the automatic emergency braking, the radar cruise control, and all that stuff, complemented by the camera mounted on the windshield. And then basically the front end looks really elegant and to a degree imposing because of the big grille. Then moving down the sides, you have this chrome detailing surrounding the windows of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro. Again, the same case lang with the 2-liter all-wheel drive and the 1.6-liter version, but here in the plug-in hybrid model, wala ka nung parang faux vent trim niya sa kanyang fender. So in the other two variants, meron ka nitong parang designation of what the torque figures of those two other cars produce. But here in the plug-in hybrid version, wala ka nung faux vent trim sa kanyang fenders. Then 18-inch wheels, they're the same trend as in with every Tiggo 8 Pro variant. Talagang they're really exactly the same. You have a chrome detailing again down the doors of the Tiggo 8 Pro, and overall yung kanang side profile is on the elegant side rather than stylish side. So para I guess it's okay, it's reasonably elegant for what it is. And moving then towards the back of the Tiggo 8 Pro, you're gonna see a pair of LED tail lights with the Chery logo or script rather written on the tailgate. Though yung nga lang specific for this Tiggo 8 Pro plug-in hybrid variant, medyo there's a mishmash of badges in this car. So you have the Tiggo 8 Pro E+ logo, and then yeah, medyo weird lang yung font niya because it looks really similar though, don't you think? Yung hybrid badge niya, which it really looks very, very similar from a very famous Japanese car, huh? So anyway, that's a candidate for the badging for me, yung kanang plug-in hybrid badge, to be honest. So I'd rather delete it. Then basically, yun nga, the rear end looks pretty nice as well. You have those nice LED taillights and faux exhausts, by the way, in the case of this plug-in hybrid. In the 2-liter, those are actually real quad exhausts, which look really cool. Pero yung nga lang, I actually wouldn't mind having these deleted altogether, to be honest. So overall, the Tiggo 8 Pro, whichever variant you choose, looks really great for its price. It looks really elegant, and you know what? I think it's a good time for us now to step inside the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro to see what it's like in terms of the interior. Remember back in the day when Chery used to be a liability when you buy their car? So it's like you get a very cheap car, but it was really the definitive Chinese car in terms of the build quality or lack thereof, sa totoo lang. Nowadays in 2023, that's all changed, thankfully for the better. And in the Tiggo 8 Pro, this is basically Chery at its best foot forward. So everything you touch here is actually in soft touch materials, and the good thing about this interior also is it looks really modern, it looks really stylish, but at the same time, yes, there's a lot of screens that you can see right now. There's 3 screens in fact. Pero the good thing about it is they've still managed to retain the physical controls, which is always gonna be a good thing for my part. Of course, alam niyo naman ako sa mga reviews ko, I always complain about cars who remove all semblance of physical controls. So, then as you see, they have a lot of leather surfaces all over the car. Even on the top of the dash is leatherette, then on the dash, lower dash, it's actually the real leather naman na. So, yun nga, there's a nice mix of matte finishes and gloss black. Yun nga lang, unfortunately, the gloss black part is in a frequently touched area of the vehicle. So, that's where the controls are located, dito sa may center console niya with the gloss black surface. Anyhow, yun nga lang, I do wish that there would be more telescopic adjustment for the steering wheel because I find the seat to be too close to the pedals for my liking. So I want more adjustment sana for the steering wheel to reach out further. And then let's now go to the infotainment system. It's a nice enough infotainment system. The graphics are very sharp. Yun nga lang, whenever you go to the infotainment, you're gonna see a lot of Chinglish nga lang, if you know what I mean. So, it's either wrong grammar or they could have written it in a much more legible or in a grammar that makes more sense, I guess. Yun lang ko sabihin natin. But apart from the Chinglish aspect of the infotainment, it works really well. The response is really great. And you also have a personal voice assistant, which you could say, "Hello, Chery.
Yes, I'm here.
Open all windows."
All right, open.
So it's not limited to the infotainment, basically, yung functionality ng voice command nitong Chery Tiggo 8 Pro. And that is through all the variants. So, "Hello, Chery.
What's up?
Close all the windows."
Closing all window.
Oh, saka, "Hello, Chery.
Yes, I'm here.
Open the sunroof."
Got it. It's opening.
It actually works surprisingly well yung kanang voice command. Nice. Okay, so feeling ko baka umulan anytime soon. So anyway, "Hello, Chery.
What's up?
Close the sunroof."
Okay, I'll close the sunroof.
Love that. Really amazing. Okay. So apart from the voice command aspect and those stuff, you also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both are wired nga lang, and you also have a wireless charger dito sa kanang center storage area. And now I think it's a good time for us to move to the back seats of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro. So here in the back of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, and as you're gonna see, there's plenty of room being a mid-size crossover SUV. So there's also plenty of headroom despite the panoramic sunroof. And yun nga, as you're gonna see, pwede pa akong dumekwatro sa pagkaluwag ng kanyang legroom. And then it's also a wide enough car to fit 3 adults here at the back seats without nag-aagawan kayo sa shoulder room. And then, apart from the good amount of space, you also have a good amount of features here at the back. So you have what, well, not what Chery calls, but more of what I'm used to call it. Basically, you have safe exit assist. So, link to the blind spot warning of the car. When there's an oncoming vehicle or a bike or a motorcycle, iilaw yung kanyang indicator dito sa pintuan, which will prevent you from opening the doors if there's an oncoming vehicle or biker. Anyhow, apart from that, you also have the usual armrest with a center cup holder, and you have your own climate zone sa likod with an ionizer for actually di lang yung sa likod pero pati yung sa harap. Then, you have front seats that can be moved from here at the back. So, ayan, you can adjust the seat here. Yung nga lang, I hope that these seats have sensors that prevent them from being moved if someone's sitting in those seats, of course. Yeah, it's a nice place to be in. LED lighting here. That's pretty much it. So, let's now move to the third row of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro. So, here in the third row of the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro, that's you're gonna see, in terms of headroom though, talagang my styled hair ngayon is brushing through the ceiling so bad. But apart from the hair situation I have, okay naman yung headroom ko. Like, I'm not touching the, yung head ko is not actually touching the ceiling yet. Legroom is a better situation, I think. Mas wala yung situation ng legroom because this seat actually is all the way back pa. So, if I move it forward a bit, there's actually a good amount of legroom, and yun nga lang, the seat is too low for my liking, so it's a knees up situation. Oh, and word of advice, by the way, you can only enter the third row through this side but not this side. So yun nga lang, you don't have that flexibility if you want more access to the third row, or at least an easier access. Yun nga lang, it's also worth noting that going for the plug-in hybrid model like what we're in today loses out on the rear third row aircon vents. So Ngayon, yung third row passengers will be dependent on the air conditioning ng second row. Yeah, apart from that, it's a nice place enough for short journeys for a 5'10", 5'11" adult like me. For kids, they would actually love this place because it's actually pretty good, and that's the advantage of having a crossover SUV platform as opposed to a mid-size body-on-frame SUV na kain nung frame niya yung space nung sa floor. And before pa masira yung buhok ko at this point, bumaba na tayo sa kotseng ito and talk about the trunk space of the Tiggo 8 Pro.
And then as for cargo space, the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro offers 193 liters behind the third row. But if you fold down the third row seats, the figure rises to 892 liters. Finally, if you also fold down the second row seats, space expands to 2100 liters when filling up to the roof. Now, as for engines, what you have are three choices, with the base version getting a 1.6-liter turbocharged gasoline engine, or for a couple 100,000 more, you can get the 2-liter all-wheel drive. Or if you wanna dive into the world of electrification, you can splurge for the plug-in hybrid powertrain, which also happens to be the fastest and most powerful of the bunch. Oh, and when it comes to charging, the Tiggo 8 Pro E Plus uses the more commonly used Type 2 port. So as mentioned, we're driving both the 2-liter all-wheel drive and the plug-in hybrid. And so with that said, which of the two engines is a better flagship choice?
So with the 2-liter gasoline engine combination, this isn't what you're usually expecting with Chinese cars, because usually the reason why they have 1.5 turbo engines because of taxation laws in China that favor those kinds of engines. So with a 2-liter turbocharged engine ngayon, so outright pa lang, even without the turbochargers, mas maganda na yung hatak ng 2-liter on its own pa lang. Combine that with the turbochargers, and what you're given is an experience that's really powerful, really with copious amounts of torque. Especially when you put your foot down, talagang bibili talaga siya. It's really just gonna go forth talaga like a locomotive, like a train. Magandang hatak ng 2-liter na to. So basically, you have two choices if you wanna take your Chery Tiggo 8 Pro to flagship level. So you can either go the electrified route, or you can choose this 2-liter gasoline engine. So with a 2-liter, what you also get is a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and yung kanyang DCT sa totoo lang is actually one of its highlights, because usually kasi with Chinese cars, I don't like their DCTs. Ang rough nila, ang clunky. But here in the Tiggo 8 Pro 2-liter, actually kahit yung 1.6 din, it's really good. So it's very smooth, it's cooperative, and in fact sa totoo lang, with crawling through city traffic, you would expect na ano siya na tao dito, na may clunky na siya because of the clutch engaging and disengaging when you're crawling through traffic. Pero dito, it feels like a torque converter automatic sa sobrang smooth niya and sobrang intuitive to drive. One of the best DCTs in fact that I've experienced, along with what GAC or Geely does with their cars, and then combine it with the copious amounts of torque from the 2-liter gasoline engine, and you have a vehicle that's smooth, powerful, and really cooperative when you put it through its paces, or even kahit when treating it like a docile SUV. Yung nga lang, syempre, I'm pretty sure yung tanong na ngayon is what's gonna be its fuel economy like. So I've been doing 10 to 11 kilometers per liter, which is actually really good for a 2-liter all-wheel drive mid-size SUV with this amount of power. Yung nga lang, tas drop to mga 9.5 km per liter says in the trip computer dito. So yeah, again, all things considered, maganda naman yung kanyang power figures. Yun nga lang, if you really wanna get the best fuel economy at the same time having a lot of power, then you might want to check out that Tiggo 8 Pro E Plus. So I'm gonna get back to that car. So nice explanation there, Isaac Atienza. With the 2-liter all-wheel drive, it's a very smooth and very powerful cruiser. The Tiggo 8 Pro plug-in hybrid we're in right now, the E Plus, on paper this is the most powerful model, because yun nga, if you see the figures, it has more than 300 horsepower. Pero sa totoo lang, I think that's where it becomes a bit misleading, because with hybrids kasi, you don't necessarily add the figures of all your power sources, because you have to remember the engine, the electric motors make their peak power at different RPM ranges. Here in the Tiggo 8 Pro plug-in hybrid, on paper, it's the most powerful, it's supposed to be the fastest. In the real world, however, it's quick, it's blisteringly quick, but I wouldn't call it better than the 2-liter all-wheel drive version. When you accelerate hard, when you put your foot down, medyo for me a bit inconsistent yung feel. So at times it will be very responsive when you put your foot down. Talagang it's gonna rocket off to 100 kph smoothly pa nga yung transition. Pero nga, as I mentioned, why it's inconsistent is because sometimes when there's regenerative braking, parang there's a bit of jolt. Kung sabi natin, parang yun nga, it's a bit rough. I mean, yung transition from coasting to accelerating minsan. It's not bad, hindi naman siya malala, don't get me wrong. Baka isipin nyo that jolt or that sensation is malala din naman, but it's like a tiny sensation that can feel oftentimes while you're switching between coasting and accelerating. But where the plug-in hybrid really shines sa totoo lang is when the car's being driven in pure electric mode, because yun nga, of course, being in pure electric, it's very smooth, it's very refined. Being a plug-in hybrid nga, this has bigger electric motors compared to your normal hybrid, and as a result, you're actually able to cruise at 100 kph or more in pure electric. Pero for me though, based on my experience with plug-in hybrids, at high speeds, it's best to use the car in typical hybrid mode, because that's when at high speeds do electric motors become inefficient compared to gas engine. So if you really want to drive in the most efficient manner in charging, or rather preserving the battery at most, it's best to put it in hybrid mode when you're at the highway. Then anyway, as for other aspects of the vehicle like handling, comfort, there's a bit of firmness at low speeds, a bit of bounciness, pero sakto lang. But the good thing about that is, which I was surprised, when this car is fully loaded with people, which I actually did, both cars, 2-liter and this plug-in hybrid, magandang ride niya. As in, like, it's really settled, it's really balanced. Hindi siya nakatingala din at the same time, because normally with 7-seaters, pag naka full loaded ka na, titingala na yan, especially with crossover types na mga 7-seaters. Pero here, hindi siya nakatingala. It's actually parang balanse pa nga yung height niya or something. I think it's the best pang i-ride niya when it's fully loaded, because the car suddenly feels more settled. And it doesn't even like yung nagiging floaty, yung nag-bottom out yung suspension kapag fully loaded. It's not. It's really good actually. Parang feeling ko it was really designed from the get-go to be regularly used as a 7-seater. The structure itself, the T1X platform is really good. Maganda yung rigidity niya. Structure feels rock solid even if you're going through bad roads. Okay, there's a bit of cabin shake. Feeling ko it's because of how big this car's panoramic sunroof is. Pero apart from a bit of shake lang from the upper part dito, it's not very rock solid chassis sa totoo lang. And as a result, it feels very stable and refined at high speeds. Even on bad roads, like yung itong mga sa C5, yung mga ganon, the ride's good. At least yun nga, it's good for the most part. Handling, the usual, Chinese car steering, it's very light, very numb. There's no driver connection. There's body roll when you push it through corners. Again, if you're treating this as a sports car, as a sports sedan, you're not getting the point of buying a car like this. Then of course, being an electrified car, we also have to talk about the brakes. And yung brakes are sakto lang, it's okay. I have nothing much to complain about, because usually with electrified cars, yung kanang regenerative braking, meron yung spongy feel sa first few percentage ang apak niya. There's that feeling pa rin with the Tiggo 8 Pro plug-in hybrid, pero onti lang naman, like parang it's something that you're gonna get used to eventually. So now that we're on the highway, and ngayon, as we merge into Calax, bibiritin ko ngayon yung kanang plug-in hybrid powertrain to demonstrate how the gearbox and the systems all perform. And for the most part, maganda naman yung combination ng hatak ng 1.5-liter turbo engine and the electric motors. Yun nga lang, as mentioned kanina, when you switch between the brakes and the gas, or when you're coasting and then aapak ka sa gas, there's a bit of jolt if there's the region braking. For example, kasi when you lift off the throttle, magko-coast siya, but there's gonna be a bit of regenerative braking, mga siguro 5%, as you're gonna see in the power gauge niya. But sometimes yung transition niya from coasting with the regen and aapak ka sa gas, medyo may jolt siya. I have no idea why that happens. and it happens only when the gas engine's connected to the wheels. When it's actually powering the wheels, no? But if it's just charging the battery and therefore running in pure electric mode, wala namang ganong pakiramdam. So wala lang, it's one of those minor things where I think Chery needs to do a bit of refinement with their plug-in hybrid. But for the most part, it's smooth, it's quiet, it's powerful when all of those power sources work together. The 2-liter gas that we've driven then also does the same job. Pero I think ito yung nakakatawa though, if you want something that's smooth and refined in terms of the powertrain department, it's the gas version pa, which is the better, the 2-liter gas to be precise. And the reason for that is the 7-speed dual clutch of that car is supremely smooth and it's lushing the gears really well. It just remains in the background. Talagang ang ganda nung tuning ng gearbox niya. And now that we're here on the highway, I think it's a good time to talk about its fuel economy. So the 2-liter gas is doing around 9 liters per 100 kilometers. So converted to km per liter, that's around 11 kilometers per liter or 10 point something kilometers per liter, which is pretty good, especially for a 2-liter gas turbo engine. Itong plug-in hybrid though is doing at currently 6 liters per 100 kilometers. So converted to km per liter, that's around 14 kilometers per liter. I live nearby SM and Ayala facilities. With charging, I was able to charge this fully for the most part. And yun nga, plug-in hybrids sa totoo lang are only gonna be as good as they could get if you actually charge these vehicles. But if you don't, yung fuel economy nila aren't actually gonna be as good as your normal hybrids sa totoo lang. But yun nga, ang advantage of a plug-in hybrid is if you're able to fully charge it, maganda ang pure electric range mo, malayo malalakbay mo in pure electric. So it's one of those cars na by logic, if your day-to-day commute naman is within the electric range of a plug-in hybrid, then you're actually not gonna use the gas engine that much through your lifetime. You're just gonna use the gas engine if you're gonna go out of town, you're gonna go to another province. So it's basically an electric car with a gasoline engine to extend your range. And therefore nga, parang PHEVs are sort of a stopgap between hybrids and pure electric cars.
The Chery Tiggo 8 Pro comes in 3 variants, with the range kicking off with this 1.6-liter version. Apart from having a slightly different grille, it largely shares similarly generous features as the higher 2 variants. It's also worth mentioning that even this base 1.6 turbo gets a full suite of advanced driver assistance systems, ranging from full speed adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, a 360-degree camera system, just to name a few. Splurging for a 2-liter all-wheel drive, on the other hand, gives you a premium Sony sound system. And this is of course also equipped in the range-topping A+ plug-in hybrid. The Chery Tiggo 8 Pro is a surprisingly well-engineered and well-designed mid-size crossover SUV. Though in my opinion, the exquisitely smooth and powerful demeanor of the 2-liter all-wheel drive is a better representation of Chery's upmarket aspirations. The plug-in hybrid model still has a few kinks to iron out. Though all things considered, the Tiggo 8 Pro plug-in hybrid is good enough for its price. With that said, the more polished and premium GAC GS8 is also worth a look, along with of course mainstream competitors like the Mazda CX-8, high-end variants of the Toyota Fortuner, just to name a few.
That's right.